Hey peeps, welcome back to my latest YouTube video. I'm gonna have to start this with a little bit of a content warning. It is going to be speaking about my experience as an LGBT Christian and a particular situation that's going on at the moment in the Church of England, which is causing myself and a lot of other LGBT Christians in the Church of England a lot of pain. There will be some conversation around mental health, LGBT mental health, and also suicide attempts. Not recent, in my case, but it informs the background of this piece. So, for those of you who probably, thankfully, aren't aware of what's going on in the Church of England at the moment, a few weeks ago, the interim report of the Living in Love and Faith report, I think it's called, came out from the Church of England, which is basically the culmination of, I think, 5, maybe 6 years of, quite frankly, insulting conversations about LGBT plus people without many of us in the room, without much concern for the damage that the church has done to us as a community. The church, I mean the Church of England. I'm not discounting other churches. I'll come for you in due course, but for the moment I'm focusing on the one that's caused me the shit. So they had their report that came out, and I was quite frankly a bit of a nightmare to live with for a few days. There was something off. I'd kept reading these articles, skim reading them, not reading them in too much detail, because they're painful. They are, honest to God, painful. For any of you who aren't LGBT, who aren't queer, please consider for a minute that an organisation that you were born into. So I was born into a Church of England family. I was raised to be part of the Church of England. I even went to university with the express aim to become a priest in the Church of England, to dedicate the rest of my life to that institution and to caring for people. And then just because you happen to be gay, just because you happen to be able to love, but not in the way that is common, you're castigated. You're spoken about. There are debates about whether you're just generally disordered, whether you're the way that you are because you're actually possessed by a demon. And when you grow up in that church, for anyone who's not LGBT, until you know that you are, you know there's something off. You know you're not the same as everyone else. But sometimes you can just explain it away as teenage angst or hormones or whatever. But when I was younger, I knew there was something different. However, the thing that was different was I found boys attractive. Boys my own age. I found men attractive. I didn't like girls. Just didn't. But because of the church that I was in, I knew that was wrong. Because they would go back to 5 or 6 verses in the Bible that can be construed to be speaking about gay people, about queer people like me. And then in the discussion part of the more radical bit of the service, where you had a discussion, not just a sermon, they talk about giving a heart transplant. And this is burned so hard into my memory. The vicar's wife, a lovely person who I respected and loved as a member of the church family, posed the moral dilemma. If you had only one heart to give, like one family had been torn apart, and you were the person dictating where the heart went as a transplant, would you give it to the gay man, who's a teacher and a social worker, or would you give the heart to the older Christian man who just works on the trains? The obvious answer that they were looking for is you'd give it to the Christian, obviously, because the Christian person's a good person, and even though the gay person is good and kind, they're gay, they're a practicing homosexual. You wouldn't waste such a precious gift on them. Is exactly the conversation that happened. So that's just my childhood, quite a while ago. Over the last, as I say, week or so, the reports have been coming in, and the Church of England, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that to try and keep the family together, they'll bless same-sex unions, but only if the priest is okay with it, because heaven forbid that they should ever do anything that they're not okay with, considering that they're called to serve. If they're okay with it, then they can do a prayers of thanksgiving. It's not even actually blessing the marriage. Gay people can still not get married in church. That's still just not going to be able to happen. Because they want to keep the family together. So the bits of the church that think that I'm just sinful, there's no other, that's just what it is, they should be kept as part of the church. So this is an honourable compromise. Think you might guess from my tone what I think of their very much less than honourable compromise. So, as I say, I was a bit of all of this coming through, something was out of whack. I'm giving you all of this background because that's the background for this piece. It's 2 pieces. The second piece you'll see in a few days, probably. My partner suggested that I channel, when it eventually clicked that this was up, my partner suggested I channel this into a piece of art. I use art as therapy. Usually I just throw colour on a canvas and feel the emotions and see where it goes. With these 2 pieces, I was actually looking at And thinking all the way through this, I was crying while I was doing this. Thinking about my journey of faith and my experiences within several churches and the pain. And the pain that me walking away felt like it was a bad thing. For a while it did feel like it was a bad thing. It definitely isn't. It is entirely a positive thing. Because I remember the epistle, which is the name for one of the types of books in the Bible, the Acts of the Apostles. I think, no, actually isn't. It's in the Gospels, where Jesus sends the apostles out for the first time and tells them, if a town doesn't receive you, walk out. Turn around, take your sandals off, because they all wore sandals. Being in the Middle East, apparently that's what they wore. And then shake the dust off your sandals or your feet as you leave, if they won't receive you. And that's what I'm doing. Because I can't deal with it anymore. It's too painful. In time I might come back to the church when it's grown the flip up, but I don't know when that'll be. I can't have anything to do with it. The church that thinks that it's okay to debate whether I and my siblings have a right to exist, whether I or my siblings are innately disordered. Nah, not gonna happen. Not anymore. I have a cold, which is half the reason why I sound like I'm breaking up a bit in this. I wasn't also going to record this video tonight, but I've seen some of the Twitter about the debate that's going on over the weekend, because the synod's actually meeting, and they don't get my silence anymore. I did this gorgeous piece of art, a rainbow cross that I love, as I was contemplating leaving the church. Not that I've been an active member for quite some time, but yeah. So yeah, this is a piece that I like abstract art to be abstract. This piece really couldn't be, because I was focusing on the emotions, the feelings, and I had an idea of what I wanted it to look like. And yeah, so that's why I did this piece the way that I did. It was designed so that you'd have the black cross in the middle and the paint coming out to some black negative space. The white was put in just to brighten up the rainbow colours a little bit of a otherwise rather sombre piece. I purposely had the thin ribbon of black in the middle so that it wouldn't overpower the rainbow colours, and I didn't have the black around the edge because I knew I was going to fill in what space was left, if there was any. And I wanted the cross to remain in a kind of recognisable shape. So I left the middle bit bare, and then in a few minutes you'll see me just finger painting the black in to get the cross shape. I contemplated leaving it as white, but I, for the symbolism, decided to leave it black. If it was white, it would feel like there was a sense of hope. I don't feel any hope with this. The church has decided to do what it's decided to do, and it has caused pain to a lot of people. It won't repent of that, even though in its announcement of this, the bishops wrote a letter apologising to the LGBT community for the harm that it had done to us, whilst simultaneously doubling down on that harm, making sure we're still second-class citizens for those that remain in our own church. Takes a special type of arrogance, and, well, they're bishops, so they are arrogant. Being consecrated to God's purpose will do that to you, I'd imagine. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't feel much hope, so chose not to have the white left in as a sense of hope. The black isn't there as a sense of despair, it's just the sense of sadness and loss, is what it represents to me. I cried, as I've said earlier, whilst I did this. It was actually quite cathartic going through all of it. It was painful as well. I don't recommend anyone do art therapy like this without having time to, and knowing that you are properly reflecting on sometimes probably some quite hard things. In my case, I was reflecting on the whole church journey, including some pretty damn dark times. Some dark times that I don't know if it's every LGBT Christian's experience, but it's definitely an experience of quite a few that I know. So, because of those damnable verses in the Bible, the ones that are used to condemn us, in my darker moments, I actually had decided how I was going to leave it behind. And quite a few LGBT Christians that I have spoken to over the years have had the same experience. Thankfully, not many have actually tried to properly leave everything, life behind. I'm speaking carefully because I don't want to glamorize taking your own life or thinking about it or minimize it. The way the church debates us causes this harm. The way the church debates us kills queer people. The way the church debates our existence leads to the murder of queer people by homophobes, because the establishment are saying that it's fine to talk about us in that way, which then enables people to harm us. Told you there was a content warning for some darkness in this one, guys. Peeps. Sorry, but it's the reality of my life. It's the reality of far too many LGBT plus lives that are cut short. And most ironic thing is, the church are having their synod in LGBT History Month in the UK, making LGBT history apparently. And LGBT History Month gives queer people a chance to tell our stories to a wider audience, because they don't often get told. We are far too often sidelined, which is why I'm doing this now. Why I'm sat here with tears running down my face, doing the voiceover for this, to tell my story of the pain and some hope behind this piece, because there is hope. I did this piece to process all of the institutional hate, all of the institutional harm, but I've come through the other side. We as queer people make our own families, and we come through the other side stronger and better. We do. But sometimes that means we walk away. And sometimes as we walk away, we make a rainbow motherfucking cross, because it subverts the church's own symbolism. And we make our own symbols, just like we make our own churches. I'll find one at some point. But thank you for listening to me ramble on. I am okay. Please do not anyone worry about me. I am good. I've processed some things, but I'm good. Thank you for watching. There are other more happier videos. Come and watch them too. Bye.